Good afternoon. This is Courtney Magley. I'm coming to you from the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. And I'm joined by my friend Sarah. And we are here today for our Aquarium Online Academy. And we're going to talk about some amazing animals. I'm so glad you've joined me. If today you want to join in on the conversation, I'd be so excited. Uh, so there are some ways for you to do that and you can check those out at the bottom of the screen right here. So if you have any questions while you're watching, we have a live text line and we can answer them. Just text us at 562-286-1838. If you're a kiddo, make sure you ask any adult you're with. If you are watching this later or just want to have that conversation after the episode, that is okay too. You can also email us. That email address is live@lbaop.org. So these are going to stay up and you can join the conversation. The more you talk to us, the more we can make this program catered to you. So I always love to hear from anyone who's watching. Anyways, I'm actually going to step to the side right now to introduce our topic for today. And I'm going to do that by making it a little bit of practice with a scientist skill that we're going to use today. So, what I'd like you to do is first thing, just make an observation about what you're seeing on the screen right now. So, any kind of scientific exploration always starts with an observation, just anything you notice. So, to see what kind of animals you notice, colors, shapes, sizes, numbers of animals, how they're swimming. I think I just noticed that that turtle bumped into a wall. While you are making those observations, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you're looking at. This is our shark lagoon. It is a recreation of a coral reef, and it's one of the exhibits we have here at the aquarium. Hmm, what are we seeing? Well, saw the turtle earlier. I mentioned it was a recreation of a coral reef. See that coral there? We see a lot of different fish in here. Are all the fish the same size? We definitely have some different size fish, huh? We have some big ones, some small ones. And then we have some friends way in the back right now. Who is that? Well, those are some of our reef sharks. And today we're actually going to be talking about sharks. Going a little bit over what kind of animal they are, what makes them so special, and also what makes them important. So, again, talking about these sharks, let's start off with what even are they? So, I mentioned that we saw big fish here and small fish. Well, a lot of times people get confused. They think sharks are their own special kind of animal, but they are, in fact, a kind of fish. And to figure out why that is, let's go through all the things that make a fish a fish. Let's see, how are our fish friends? How are they living in the water? Why can't we live in the water? What would happen to us if we tried to live in the water? We probably would not be able to breathe, right? Well, how can our fish friends do that? Oh, excellent. Here is Garibaldi. This is our marine state fish here in California. Definitely fish. You look at it, think fish. So, what on its body helps it breathe? These gills. Well, I wonder if we can see on a shark. Let's see if they've got that. Hmm. See any gills on this shark? Yeah, let's see. We have some gills right there. So on our Garibaldi, we just had one big gill flap. Here we have a few. Let's count them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. So we know our shark has gills. That's one thing it has in common with other fish. Well, let's think about another thing fish have to do to live in the water. They've got to swim. So what does our Garibaldi have to help it swim around? Hmm. It's got these fins, right? Does my shark friend, does he have fins? Yeah, absolutely. We see them one here, dorsal fin on the back, these two pectoral fins in the front, and it's got its tail here. So it has gills and it has fins. Now, there's something else that this Garibaldi has all over its body. Let's see, what can you see all over its body? What do you notice? Hmm. What are these things here? They kind of look like shingles on a house. Those are scales. Well, looking at my shark friend, I'm gonna be honest, even this picture, it's even better. I don't see any scales really. It kind of just looks smooth. But I wonder, what if we took a closer look? Hmm. Ooh, what's going on here? This is one of our horn sharks. So, do you see all of these bumps on our shark? Well, oh, Sarah zoomed this in even more. Perfect. Those little bumps, those are actually its scales. So, sharks do have scales just like fish do, but their scales are a little special. Um, we call their scales dermal denticles. I'm going to write that over on my whiteboard, and Sarah will correct me when I spell it wrong. Let's see if I can get this. All right. So, dermal denticle. How'd I do? Oh, I forgot an E. I can get fix that. All right. Well, I wrote this word out because I wanted to kind of break it down to explain what makes these scales so special. So let's look at this first truck, dermal. Now, if you had something weird going on your skin or you got a rash, something like that, what kind of special doctor would you go to? You might go to a dermatologist, and you would hear that word in that chunk in there as well, derm. So derm has to do with our skin, our dermal. Um, and then let's look at this chunk of the word denticle. This one is a little bit easier. If you had a toothache, what kind of doctor would you see? I hope you would go see a dentist, and you can hear that chunk den in there as well. So denticle is comes from the same word that dentist comes from, and it just means tooth. So we have, let me get a breakdown here. Skin, teeth, tooth. Basically, their scales that cover their body, just like our skin covers our body. The material that makes it up is almost more similar to teeth, and it gives them extra protection. It's a little bit rougher and tougher than another regular fish's kind of scales. Um, so to review all of that, we know sharks are fish because they have gills, they have fins, and they have scales. Now, when I talk about sharks versus regular fish, um, there is one big distinction, and that is what's inside their body. So, I've been saying the phrase regular fish, and you've probably noticed these air quotes and figured out I'm going to explain that. So, when we talk about fish that are not sharks, let me get a friend to show you. We are talking about fish that we call bony fish. So this is a fish's skeleton, and it has these hard bones in it. In fact, I'm gonna go take it back to my dock cam, and we might get a closer look at it. See, I'll get a nice background paper so you can see those bones. Excellent. So this fish has a skeleton and bones that make up that skeleton. And it's very similar to ours, but they're hard, right? If you were to grab, let's say, your wrist right here, that would be pretty hard, wouldn't it? You can feel under your soft skin that that's hard there. Well, sharks, they are not what we call bony fish. They are what we call cartilaginous fish. So we've tested our arm, see a bone there. Now what I want you to do is either wiggle your nose or wiggle your ear. Do you feel that squishy, bendy stuff in there? Well, that is cartilage. So we, as humans, have bones through most of our body and cartilage in some parts of our body. Some fish, bony fish, they have bones. And I brought up cartilage because sharks, that's all they have. They are what's called cartilaginous fish. So they are fish whose skeleton is made up of this bendy cartilage. So why is that? Is that something that helps the sharks? What do we think? Could there be a difference in how hard bones might move through the water or light, bendy cartilage? Well, cartilage can actually help them kind of just glide smoothly through the water. And that is important because that is how they swim. And in fact, I want to talk a little bit about how they use each of their fins. We talked about the different kind of fins they have. Well, they have so many different kinds of fins. Do you think they're all going to do the same job? Or do you think they might have different jobs? Let's check that out and explore by watching a shark swim around. We'll use our powers of observation once more. All right. Oh, we do have a fish friend saying hello to us. If you want to say hi to these animals after our episode today, you can go on our website and you can find this webcam as well as some other ones to see what our animals are doing. All right, so I am watching these sharks swim around right now. Let's see, like I said, they like to glide through the water. Compare that to our other fish friends. Are they gliding as smoothly through the water? Quite. It's a little bit more they more bursts. Another question I always like to ask is what part of the shark's body is moving the most as they swim? So what part are they moving the most? Hmm. Well, I'm looking at their dorsal fin, and honestly, that's staying pretty still. It's not going side to side, forward or back, just staying straight on their backs. Dorsal fin is not really moving. Well, how about their pectoral fins? Those two fins on the front of their body, right behind their gills. Let's gonna get close to us. Maybe we can see. Are they moving that a lot? No, it doesn't really seem it. They're not like flapping it like a bird or anything. They seem to be staying pretty still. So, well, how about their tail? This one's gonna come through right now. Are they moving their tail? Yeah, absolutely. So for sharks, their tail is what pushes them through the water. It's kind of like their engine. They swing it back and forth, and that is how they push themselves through the water and get their momentum. Now, my shark friend, if it wanted to change direction, which direction or which fins do you think would be best for that? We know this is like its engine. What fins would be best as like their steering wheel? If I wanted to go left or right. Does it have any fins on the left or the right? Yeah, right? It has these two pectoral fins that we've mentioned. So it can go this way or that way by using those pectoral fins. Now, we also have the dorsal fin and these other tiny little fins on the top and bottom. So if we have its engine and its steering, what is left, right? Well, to kind of explain that, I'm going to go back to my document camera and we're going to draw a shark, or at least the body of a shark. So a shark's body. Let's look at it before we draw. Would you say it's squarish? Not quite, right? Would you say it is a perfect circle? No, right? It's kind of an oval shape, isn't it? So I'm gonna draw this ovally shape, but points at the end. So this, just generally speaking, is the shape of a shark. Some sharks, their face might be a little bit more rounded here. Some might point up here, but just generally speaking, this is how sharks are shaped. So, does this shape remind you of anything? It might remind you of a lemon, maybe of an eyeball you might draw. Let's see what else have I got in. I I always like to compare it to a football. And the reason I like to compare it to football is because it ties into how they move. Now, if you throw a football correctly, not the way I would throw it, but the way someone who knows how to throw it would do so, should it just go straight or should it spiral? So ideally, it spirals. Well, our sharks, being football shaped, if they did not have these dorsal fins or these other tiny fins on the top and bottom, they would be spiraling too, constantly as they move throughout the water. Now, do you think that would be very enjoyable for our sharks? Maybe some. I think if I was a shark, I would get pretty dizzy. So, this dorsal fin and these other small fins stop that because they give it balance. That is the key that they add to the shark swimming equation. They give it balance. So we have our power, our steering, and our balance. Excellent. We talked a little bit about how its special skin, its bones. We've talked about how it swims. One thing I would love to talk about, and I'm sure some of you have been hoping to talk about this, is a very prominent feature on my friend here. All this stuff. So, shark's teeth, they are pretty important. They use it for a lot, especially eating. I know eating is pretty important to me. So, let's talk a little bit about shark teeth. I have a great set of shark teeth with me here today. I'm gonna zoom out as much as I can. So this is, I believe, I want to say great white jaw. Um, well, regardless, what do you notice about these teeth? Hmm, are they sharp or dull? Pretty sharp. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a blue shark. I made an assumption. What do you notice here? Well, you probably notice all the rows of teeth, and you can see that in my shark friend's mouth as well. They have rows and rows of teeth. Sharks, they use their teeth for eating, of course, but also for exploring things. Um, their teeth are really important. So they have rows and rows of teeth. I also mentioned how they have a cartilage in its body, so their skeleton is made of that soft cartilage. Well, their teeth are hard, so it kind of makes sense that they would need lots of teeth because if their hard teeth are in soft cartilage, it's a little easier for them to fall out. So having lots of teeth makes sure they always have teeth that are ready to go and help them out. Oh, this is a great example. I'll step to the side so you can see one of our amazing sharks here and all of its rows of teeth. Now, between this friend, the friend I'm holding, and that blue shark jaw, we're seeing a lot of sharp, pointy teeth, right? And when people think about sharks, that tends to be what they think about, right? Well, I'm going to show you another set of shark teeth. Now let's see if that matches up with what we've seen so far. All right, so this jaw is from my favorite shark in the whole world. I hope you like it too. So this is a zebra shark jaw. So looking at this, what do we notice about these teeth? What is different between that jaw and this jaw? Let me back out. Well, they're not quite as pointy, are they? And they're definitely a lot smaller, huh? Can zoom in a lot. You can see they sort of look like they could be pointy, but not particularly. Well, that is because a lot of sharks in our oceans actually have flat teeth. See, I have another great example. This is a wild set of teeth. So this is our Port Jackson. You can see its teeth kind of look different throughout its mouth. Are any of these teeth sharp? Ooh, I love that Sarah brought this up. This picture, I think, is really helpful to talk about why some sharks have flat teeth. So we saw that this Port Jackson had pretty rounded teeth. Well, let's take a look at where it's hanging out. Is it in the middle of the water? Or is it kind of hanging out on the ground? It is on the ground, right? It is on the floor of whatever habitat it is in. So the reason for that is that a lot of sharks with flat teeth, it's another great example, another angle on the production. A lot of sharks with flat teeth, they are looking for animals that can be hanging out in the dirt. So who hangs out in the dirt? What animals are there for them to eat? Well, it tends to be a lot of shellfish, things like clams, crabs, possibly shrimps, things that have hard shells on the outside of their body. So, with that in mind, let's think about what you might want to eat shellfish with. If you were handed a plate of clams, would you want to stab at those clams with a fork, or would you want to crack them open somehow first? It'd be a lot more productive to crack those shells open, right? Well, that's what these teeth do. Because they are flat, they are great for crushing shells. And then a lot of those sharks will eat whatever meat comes out. Compare that to a shark like we saw earlier with sharp teeth. If that shark was going to try to eat something with a shell, its teeth, those pointed ends, would not be able to crack the shell open. They would not do a great job. They might break even. So, depending on what a shark eats, that's going to determine what kind of teeth it has. So we talked about how sharks with flat teeth tend to eat animals with shells. Sharks with sharper teeth are, on the other hand, gonna eat animals that are soft on the outside. So I think we were looking at a bull shark earlier. It has skinny, sharp teeth that are kind of curved in towards its mouth. Those teeth are great for animals like fish and squid. Those tiny little points, those sharp teeth are great for catching the food. Oh, perfect. And like I said, they're curved towards the inside of its mouth, right? Well, that's a great adaptation it has because that allows it to keep whatever it eats, whatever it catches in its mouth, inside of its mouth. It creates basically a cage. So, fish and squid, which could be very slippery animals, they are not able to slip their way out of this shark's mouth. And then going even further, there are some sharks that not only are their teeth sharp. Let me go back to my document to show you this. Not only do they have sharp teeth, they also have edges all over their sharp teeth. Let me get you zoomed in so you can see as much as possible. And I'll focus first. Perfect. So you can see those little bumps there. So this is what we call a serrated edge. See the ripples there. So why does, if it's already so sharp, why does it need little bumps on the end? Well, think about if you were eating a big steak and you had a butter knife to use or a steak knife. The reason the steak knife is best for the job is because it is also serrated. So, sharks like our great white sharks who have these serrated teeth, not only can they eat animals that are soft on the outside, they can eat animals that have pretty tough skin too. So, what does that look like? Well, a lot of times it is someone like seals, lots of ocean mammals with really thick blubber. So, if you are a shark with skinny, pointy teeth, it might not be as hard as trying to eat something with a shell on it, but those teeth might not be able to cut through tough meat like you see on a seal. But great white sharks, they are able to because they have serrated edges on their teeth. Excellent. I love talking about shark teeth and how great they are as adaptations Um, and we can learn a lot looking at shark teeth. So I'm gonna show you that right now. I'm looking at this shark jaw, and I will tell you right now, I have no idea what shark this belongs to. But I can tell you a few things about it based on what I know. I can tell you what it might eat based on what we talked about. Do you think this shark would be more likely to eat either a fish or a clam? What do you think? Something soft on the outside or something hard on the outside? My guess is it would eat something hard on the outside, a clam, because it can crush it with these flat teeth. So I just did that to show you how, with a little bit of shark knowledge and taking a look at the right place, we can discover things about animals we don't even actually know that much about. That's something that's something scientists do a lot. Who can look at an animal's mouth to start learning a lot about what it eats and how it eats. And for sharks, eating is really important. That is actually one of the most important things they do. Sharks are a really important part of our oceans, and one of the things that make them so important is the fact that they eat sick fish. Um, Actually, Sarah, do you mind sending us back to Shark Lagoon? So, why is that so important? Well, us humans, if we get sick, we can take care of ourselves. We can stay home and keep ourselves away from other people so we don't spread that sickness around. If a fish lives in the ocean with all of its other fish friends, where is it going to go? It really can't go anywhere, right? Because oceans are all connected. So that is where sharks come in. Sharks are able to eat sick without getting sick themselves. And that might sound a little tough, a little not the kindest, but actually, if we're thinking like conservationists, that is a great service it offers because it keeps the whole fish population healthier. They are able to take that sick fish out of the population, and so all the other fish get to stay healthy. So like I said, this is a really important service it does in all the habitats they live in, and they have a few ways of figuring out which fish are sick. They look at things like how they swim around. They look for an erratic heartbeat. They can actually figure out if that heartbeat is a little strange because these little dots in their nose, they're like pores. They're able to feel the electricity the heart makes. Um, so they're able to feel the electricity from the fish's heart and figure out, oh, this fish, it's so. Like I said, that is a really important service that sharks do, and that's why we want to make sure we continue to have them in our oceans, and especially places like here, like coral reefs. Coral reefs make up only a small amount of our oceans, but they have a lot of what we call biodiversity there. So that means they have a lot of different species that live in that small area. So sharks are so important to places like coral reefs that a lot of times when scientists are looking to figure out exactly how healthy a coral reef is, they will look specifically at the amount of sharks that are there. In fact, I have a little example of something they might use to figure that out. Let me see. This is a model of what we call a BRUV. Let me see if I can get this right. BRUV stands for Baited Remote Underwater Video. Thank you, Sarah. The important thing to remember, at least the thing I would remember, is that they have a camera here and they have bait here, and this camera will take video of all the animals that come up to eat this bait. And specifically, they are looking to see how many sharks are coming to take that bait. So why sharks specifically? Well, if there's lots of sharks, that means that A, there's lots of food for those sharks to eat. Sharks wouldn't be hanging out in a coral reef that had no food for them. They'd go somewhere else. Sharks being there also tells the scientists that the sharks are keeping sick fish out of there. So it's really great to look at the amount of sharks in a coral reef to figure out how well it's doing. And that's one of the reasons why shark conservation is so important to us here at the aquarium. Making sure we keep the sharks in our oceans protected is something we really care about. And I hope you do as well. Sharks are one of my favorite animals, and I'm so glad I got to talk to you about them today. Thanks for joining us. Today, in a little bit, we will have another Aquarium Online Academy at 3 o'clock. I hope you can make it there too. But, anyways, have a great day. Keep on exploring. Bye.